Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Partners in Crime Speed Mooting Podcast. This is episode 31 and today we discussed a number of different topics. So today we focused on answering your questions and we had some very interesting questions. The first one was asking me about my time at the CPS. So I spoke all about my time at the CPS. Spoiler alert, I thoroughly enjoyed working for the CPS. We talked all about Imposter Syndrome. We had a question about applications, and we also talked about how to get into mooting. Believe it or not, I know a thing or two about that. We enjoyed recording the episode. We hope you enjoy listening. Welcome to the podcast. We're live.
Hi everyone.
Hello. Welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Hayley.
And this is the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast.
Number 31.
Number 31. So if you're new to the podcast, we like to name every single episode. We started by naming them after Formula One drivers.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that became a little bit sparse, if ever we hit a number where there was no appropriate Formula One driver, we moved on to other sports.
What have we got today?
We're 31. We're back in Formula 1. So the 20s were really good because almost all the 20s have been taken up. 30s, there's a couple. Okay. 31, that is used by a current Formula 1 driver.
Right, okay. I should be able to get this one.
You should get this one, I think.
Let's have some clues.
He's French.
Okay.
He currently drives for Alpine. French man in a French team with a French engine.
Okay.
Okay.
Alpine.
He won the 2021 Hungarian Grand Prix. And as he was winning the race, he had Fernando Alonso behind, who was his teammate at the time, saying, "I will defend like a lion." I can't really do a Spanish accent. Let me think. So he's going to be driving for Haas next year. What other clues can I give you?
French. So he's got a French sounding name?
I don't know actually, because I've only ever heard this name twice in my life. Both of being Formula 1 drivers, and the other chap was Mexican. So
right.
I couldn't tell you whether it's a French sounding name or not, to be fair.
Alpine. Oh, no, go on.
Okay, Esteban Ocon.
Oh, Esteban Ocon. I do know him, but see, that I don't think that sounds like a French sounding name at all. No offence meant to any of our French listeners, but it doesn't sound very French.
No. Ocon. The surname definitely sounds French. But...
Ocon!
Yeah, maybe say it more of a French accent.
Yeah. Okay.
Esteban Ocon is very French.
Yep.
Very, very good driver, to be fair. Just unfortunate that he's never really had a super competitive car. Haas, they're improving all the time, and they've just announced their partnership with Toyota, so who knows what 2025 will bring for him.
Cool.
But that's our episode name. So welcome to episode 31, the Esteban Ocon special.
Welcome.
It's a bit of a shorter one this week because we've got to hit the road very shortly. Live at the bar. I've been instructed very specifically for a case, and I am travelling to Cambridge.
And I'm accompanying him just because.
Just because, why not? We like to go on the road together for these trips, don't we?
We do. It's always fun. Shakes it up a bit.
Shakes it up. We like to frequent the Premier Inn, don't we?
We do. Where were we last week? Workington.
Workington. Oh my word.
Which is such a... My dad, he's about to retire, but his whole working life, as long as I've been alive anyway, he was a HGV driver. So he toured up and down the country, everywhere. So he's like... really, really good with names and places, and I get names and places wrong quite often, don't I, John? I think were we in Kent, and I was telling them we were in
Coventry.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, we were in Canterbury, and you were saying to everyone Coventry.
Yeah,
bit different.
So when I told him we were in Workington, he was like, "What? No, that's not a place. You've got it wrong." But I actually didn't have it wrong. It was just a place that my dad didn't know, so we stumped him.
It is a bizarre... Well, not bizarre as in the place is bizarre, but just bizarre getting to it, isn't it? Because For us, you go up the M6, and then it's near the Lake District, to be fair. Mm-hmm. And the last 45 miles are all B roads, basically.
Yeah.
And when you're travelling late at night, for whatever reason, no road lighting. And it's so bizarre because these roads are new, and you're thinking, what would it have taken to throw a couple of street lamps in?
Yeah. I'm not the best on like country roads and things at the best of times, am I, John? So when it was pitch black, I had cramp in my hand because I was holding on to the door handle like so tightly. It was so scary. You would have really enjoyed it, wouldn't you, if it could see?
It was so frustrating because at night, you're just driving on your wits really, because you're on full beams, and then if a car comes the opposite way, you're flicking back onto dipped headlights. Note to motorists: dipped headlights in normal conditions don't blind us. But yeah, no, I love country roads because it's a chance to really explore your car. And, I don't advocate speeding and I don't exceed the speed limit. So even within the speed limit, you can enjoy your vehicle. And it's particularly nice for us because we got a sports car. But, but obviously being late at night, we thought, well, let's be careful because we can't really see what's going on. So we're driving super carefully. And then the next day I thought, well, it's daylight, let's enjoy these roads. And it's just full of people doing 40 miles an hour on a country road. And
that would have been me. Don't insult us. Don't you insult us. I'm the one that's there doing 30, shaking white knuckles on the steering wheel, and people like John are behind me. Come on, move.
It's the one chance you've got to enjoy your vehicle.
I don't know.
And these are the same people who, when they're in a straight line on the motorway, they're doing 90 miles an hour and think they're the best driver in the world. And you're like, well, give you a couple of bends and you can't drive your vehicle, can you?
That's not me, but I don't like driving on country roads.
Yeah.
Happy to own up to it and admit it. It's very, very scary. And it's not... I think when we went down that one lane that was really twisty, but it was a one-way, that's fair enough. But it's the fact that you can't see what's coming around the bend. Is a tractor coming at me? Is a lorry coming at me? Don't know. Yeah. Just got to drive around it and see what's there. Oh, no. Don't like it. PTSD from country roads.
Anyway, we made it. We made it to Workington.
We did.
And did my course here and came back the next day, and we're back on the road again tonight.
We certainly are. We're off to Cambridge.
Yeah, should be a fun one. Never been to Cambridge before, have you?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
No. I've heard they've got a university down there or something. So
they've got, some people may or may not have heard of that place.
Yeah, they might, yeah. don't know if it's any good or not.
But the race is on because we've got to get back home tomorrow, and hopefully we've got tickets to a drive-in cinema, haven't we?
We certainly have. That should be fun.
Yeah, we're going to see Hocus Pocus. John's never seen it.
No.
And it's one of my favourite Halloween films, so we're going to go watch that. If we can get back from Cambridge and to this drive-in cinema in Birkenhead by 7:30. If not, we'll be watching it on the Disney Channel at home. Yeah.
So let's see. So we'll update you next week. Did we make it back in time for Hocus Pocus? I hope we do, because drive-in cinemas are quite fun, aren't they?
They are, yeah. We did one years ago, but it was in COVID, wasn't it? That's why the normal cinemas weren't open.
Yeah.
And that was when you had your bubbles, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to Christmas time to see The Holiday. Another one of my favourite films.
To be fair, I'll give you that. It wasn't a bad film, actually.
It is. It's.
That's what was Mr. Bean in that one?
No.
Oh, hang on. No, I'm getting that confused with...
I don't know what you're thinking of.
I don't know what I'm thinking of.
Oh, you're thinking of Love Actually.
That's it, yeah.
We went to pictures to see that one.
He's the jeweller in that one, isn't he?
The Holiday is Jack Black, Cameron Diaz, Jude Law.
Yeah, I remember.
And Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Brilliant film. I hadn't watched it till a few years ago, because it's not like a classic children's film. I don't think it's more targeted to the adults. So it wasn't one of the films I grew up watching.
Yeah.
And then it came on Netflix years ago, about 3-4 years ago, and I watched it. Obsessed with it ever since. Love it so much. So yeah. Hocus Pocus for Halloween, The Holiday for Christmas. They're the films.
Anyway, so that's enough talk about cars and films and seasons and whatever else we've been talking about. Let's get on to the law.
So we are going to do Ask Speed Squad today. We're limited in time. We tend to just focus on your questions because we get a lot, so we want to make sure we're getting through them.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 questions today.
Okay.
So first question for you, John.
Okay.
I was hoping to get your opinion on how you found working with the CPS. Did you complete your pupillage with them?
Okay. Well, I'll answer the second part first. The answer is no. I was a qualified solicitor when I joined, and I went straight in at the level of Senior Crown Prosecutor. So the way the CPS works, they have different levels. So you've got your basic sort of, I'll talk about it from the sort of solicitor and barrister point of view because there's so many other levels to it, but just in terms of solicitors and barristers. And solicitors and barristers are treated completely equally, so fulfill effectively the same roles. So obviously you'd start your traineeship, either training contract or pupil barrister, where you do whatever you would do on a training contract. Once you're qualified, you become a Crown Prosecutor, and I skipped that step because I went straight in as a Senior Crown Prosecutor. So your Crown Prosecutors or CPs, they prosecute in the Magistrates' Court. It's all they do, just advocacy in the Magistrates' Court. Senior Crown Prosecutors do different things in different areas, and in Mersey, Cheshire, where I was based, it's an office-based role effectively. So I did charging advices, so that means that when somebody's been investigated by the police and the police have completed their investigation, if it's a full code test case, they send the file to the CPS. A Senior Crown Prosecutor, like me, will review the file, take a look at the evidence and give advice. And if I think there's enough to charge, I will say, yeah, I think we need to charge them with this, that and the other offence. If I don't, I'll say, no, there's no prospect, or I'll say, we need more evidence before I can make a decision. I'll say, go back and do this. And then you go up, and then there's various management positions. So you've got your District Crown Prosecutor, Senior District Crown Prosecutor, and then heads of departments, etc. And it goes all the way up to Chief Crown Prosecutor. Okay, so yeah, so I was a Senior Crown Prosecutor. Did I enjoy my time there? Thoroughly enjoyed it. Great place to work, very, very flexible. And I think that the CPS really looked after me during the time I was there. I mean, there was a period of time when I was quite ill, wasn't I? I had quite a significant operation and was off for some time. The CPS looked after me better than any employer I can imagine.
Yeah.
So I'm forever grateful for the way the CPS treated me. And in terms of the workload, it was really varied. I dealt with a significant number of varied cases. Really good support network there because you work within a team and we bounced off each other. So if ever you come across a tricky point, you'll think, oh, I know such and such has dealt with that. Get on the phone. Everyone was happy to speak with each other. And the management were really supportive as well. And there's always that opportunity for development. So there's people who started at the same time as me who are level D managers, probably on the track to becoming level E managers. So there's so much opportunity for development within the CPS. So if you're interested in criminal law and you want a career, really couldn't advocate working at the CPS enough. And the nice thing is, they've got so many different teams there. So if you want a specialism, say if you're interested in RASO work, they have a very specific RASO team. RASO stands for Rape and Serious Sexual Offences. They have COSID, which is the Serious Economic Organised Crime Department. I think I may have got that wrong, but basically, as it says on the tin, Serious Economic Organised Crime. They've got the Complex Casework Unit. You've probably seen a lot in the news. There's been a number of high-profile cases in Merseyside across the past 12 to 24 months.
So Lucy Letby, that would have been Complex.
Yes.
The Brianna Gray case, that would have been...
I don't know for certain, but I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah.
I would be shocked. The case involving Olivia Pratt-Corbell, so all cases...
all the cases that you're watching on the news and that,
Yeah, so all those serious cases, I would imagine, will have been dealt with by the Complex Casework Unit.
Yeah.
And also, as was pointed out to me in the interview, there's opportunities for an international practice as well. I remember while I was there, they were advertising for a job for a Senior Crown Prosecutor, and this is, remaining with the CPS, in, I think it was the Cayman Islands or somewhere like that. Yeah, imagine that.
How cool.
So yes, there's always opportunities to expand away. The reason I left, and I left on really good terms with the CPS, but the reason I left was there just weren't the opportunities for advocacy for me.
Yeah.
So I love advocacy. I wanted to be in court on a daily basis, and it just wasn't going to happen over there.
Yeah. Is it the case that the roles that are junior to you as a Senior Crown Prosecutor, they're in court more often, but as you climb up the ranks, you're in court less and less? Because you went in high, that's why you didn't really get to do it? Pretty much, yeah. So your Crown Prosecutor, which is the level below me, all they do is advocacy in the Magistrates' Court. And then the Senior Crown Prosecutor, that role differs in whichever area you're in. So in Mersey, Cheshire, Senior Crown Prosecutors just do review work and charging advices. Now,
I was able to do elements of advocacy because I wanted to do so. So they did allow me to go to court occasionally. And once again, this comes back to why I speak so highly of the CPS, because they did allow me to do that. But
yeah, that was more of an exception, wasn't it?
That was more of an exception for me because of my career ambitions. And so, I'm always grateful for the way the CPS dealt with me there. But traditionally in Mersey, Cheshire, senior Crown prosecutors just do review work. Mm-hmm. And then in other areas, it's a split. So I think in North Wales, I think their senior Crown prosecutors have a sort of 50-50 split, for example. Now, you can conduct advocacy in the Crown Court as a Crown advocate. When I was there, those rules were few and far between.
Yeah.
I think, from what I've seen on LinkedIn, I've seen a number of people who are completing their pupillage and going straight into Crown advocate roles. So it looks as if the sea is changing at the CPS, and it looks like things are changing. So hopefully going forwards, for those of you who have desires to become Crown advocates, there is more opportunity over there, which can only be a good thing. But, just to summarise, if you're thinking about a career in criminal law and you're thinking about being a prosecutor, I really can't speak highly enough about working at the CPS.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a bit of a question.
Okay.
It's going to be a bit of like an inside scoop. So you may or may not be able to tell us the honest answer on this. So the CPS's relationship and role with the police.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking of Law and Order.
Yeah.
Where, I think the tagline for the show is you have the police who target the criminals, then you have the Crown prosecutor who prosecute them. So in that show, it's very much, they find the criminals, this is the guy that's done the crime, then it goes to the CPS and they're like, yeah, we're going to prove this, we're going to prove this, we're going to prove this. In reality, though, is it more like they're saying, here you go, we've charged, and you're going, there's not quite enough there? Are you more like, almost like a supervisory role over the police, going, there's not enough, take that back, I can't charge that? Or is it, as it is shown on the TV, where
it's very different.
hand in hand?
I actually caught about half an episode of the UK Law and Order the other day, and I was cringing because of how different it is to reality.
I loved that show.
I mean, it's a brilliant show, but it's not representative of what happens in reality for a number of reasons. Let's look at the legal and the technical aspect of it. So, the police and the CPS do very different roles. Mm-hmm. The police investigate. The CPS prosecute, deal with the legal side of it. So any investigation is to be dealt with by the police. So that means going, speaking to suspects, that means taking witness statements, that means looking for evidence, etc. That then gets presented to the CPS, who look at this and then look at how they can sort of deal with the case. And that's the distinction in the roles, and I think you need that separation there.
Yeah.
When I was watching Law and Order the other day, I mean, the first thing is you've got these, what would presumably be senior Crown prosecutors, I imagine, and they're speaking every other day with the police. The police are coming in, they're going to the police station, going out and speaking to witnesses and taking statements. That doesn't happen because the CPS do not investigate. It's the police who investigate. But, you work from a laptop.
Yes.
Obviously, on more serious cases, you will have interviews with, victims, complainants, etc. And you might take that more hands-on role. But as a general rule, for the most part, it's like any other type of law. You're on a laptop and you've got a caseload and you've got a case list that you're working through. So these people who are spending hours and hours and hours every single day, they're going out, they're doing... It doesn't...
I mean, there must be some... I imagine for the most part, you get along really well with the police and, you're supporting them, you're giving them advice and you take it really well. But there must be some aspects, like the same when you're dealing with clients where they don't take the advice very well. So, if you've got the police and they've worked really hard and they think they've got the right person and they've got all the evidence, and the CPS say, there's not enough, I can't charge this. Was there anything like that happen where the police are like, no, come on, John, there is enough, charge it, we've got to charge it?
Yeah, there was. So occasionally you get kicked back, and as you say, it's when they've done a lot of, you might have officers who've done a lot of work on a case, and you come back and you say, unfortunately, we just simply, the evidence isn't there. We simply cannot charge this case, or it's going to be a significantly lower charge, lesser charge than what the police think it's going to be. And sometimes you might get some kickback on that. Yeah. And you'll have, a conversation, and you might just need to explain it. And I was joking about the show, saying I wasn't, meeting with officers, but I would have regular conversations with them. Yeah. And sometimes, so what would happen is, let's say I get a file to do a charge and advice on, and I think we're lacking a few things, and I'll go back, and sometimes I might follow up with a phone call just to explain exactly what it is that I'm after, because there's we do very different roles, and there's aspects of the police's job that I simply wouldn't understand in terms of what they do. Likewise, there's parts of the intricate legal process that they might not have an in-depth knowledge of. So sometimes it's helpful just to have that phone call, talk things through. It's better than a cold email, and just say, this is exactly what we're looking for in terms of, look into this aspect of the case, see if you can obtain this statement or this piece of evidence, whatever it might be.
And that advice crosses over to other areas of law when the police can be a metaphor for clients, I suppose.
Well, of course, yeah.
Metaphor?
Yeah, no, I think it's an analogy.
Yeah.
As it were.
So what you've just said, how you have to deal with the police, given bad advice, it's better to do it over the phone, to explain it carefully, don't send cold emails, etc.
Yeah.
That all crosses over to when you're dealing with clients as well, and you have to give them favourable advice.
The other part of the reason for that is the criminal justice system loves acronyms and codes and all the rest of it. So we'll send things through. So I might send an action plan saying obtain the SFR2 or something, or that obviously the police know what that is. But I'm trying to think of other examples that we might have our own little acronyms for, and the phone you can go, what are you talking about? I always remember we had this what we called an away day. So we went to a hotel and we got to this with the CPS when I was working there. We got to sit through a number of different talks, and they were really interesting. And the last one of the day was a guy who was a police sergeant, and it was fantastic listening to him. Just such a down to earth guy. And he was saying to us, when you send your action plans and you're asking for more things, he said, speak cop. We don't know all your legal codes and legal.
Of course not. No, yeah.
Speak to us, like lay people, so we understand all the things that you're talking about. So you're throwing in the SP2 one whatever, tell us exactly what it is that you're after, and we can go from there.
Yeah,
just such straightforward things, because you often you get into your own world, and you'll speak with other lawyers and you use your little codes and whatever, and you realise, well, the police aren't dealing with the law side of it every single day. So so just as he said speak cop, makes it so much easier. I thought, it's such common sense advice, isn't it?
And once again, that translates to life as a lawyer in other areas of law.
Yeah.
You can't speak to clients. I mean, sometimes you can. Sometimes your clients are very sophisticated, but they still probably won't understand all of the legal terminology. So you've got to explain it in simple terms. You can't assume everybody knows the law the way you do. Otherwise, what would they need a lawyer for?
Yeah, but I think as I say, just to come back to it, I had a really good relationship with a number of the officers that you work with on these cases. But there's a real distinction in the two roles, and you can't have that overlap. So it's not like Law and Order where
take Law and Order with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, I quite like the show Blue Bloods as well, and they have their own cops who work within the district attorney's office and stuff like that. So it's very distinct, and I think that that's a credit to our system over here. That
absolutely,
the two, you need your separation of powers there. You need one authority that investigates, one that prosecutes.
Yeah, and holds the other accountable, I suppose.
Well, exactly. Yeah, precisely.
Boom. So there we go, a little insight into John's life at the CPS, and a point I wanted to make on it, which is a wider point, but it just reminded me of it. Imposter Syndrome at its finest. So I remember when John was applying for this role at the CPS, and he went in for the senior Crown Prosecutor role, and he was like, there's no way I'm going to get senior Crown Prosecutor role, 100%, if I'm accepted at all, they're going to make me come in as a Crown Prosecutor. And then lo and behold, he tells me, I got it. And I got the senior Crown, I'm going straight in as a senior Crown Prosecutor. You were so surprised with yourself.
Wasn't it just, yeah.
And again, when you went for your interview with Charterhouse, I met you for lunch afterwards, didn't I? And I was like, how was it? And you were like, oh, don't know, I'm not completely happy with it. I think I didn't sell myself properly in some areas. Could have said more, da-da-da-da-da. And then an hour later, you rang me and said, they've offered me a place in Chambers. So you might watch all these videos and think, gosh, how confident and knowledgeable and etc is John Dove, but you get imposter syndrome just like everybody else.
Just like everyone else, yeah. I mean, I definitely don't give myself the credit I deserve, do I?
Mm-hmm.
And just coming back to the CPS job, when I applied for it, I was contacted by a recruiter, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
And looked at it and I thought, oh, do you know what? Maybe I need to go for the lesser one. And my dad went, no. Go for the senior Crown Prosecutor role. I've got to give my dad a shout out for that.
Yeah.
He instills me with confidence. He says, "No, you can do it. Go for the more." So, and I'm obviously forever grateful that I did go in at the higher role, at the senior Crown Prosecutor role. So it's just a message to people out there. If ever doubting yourself, don't. And I think, taking that one step further, it's very easy, when you're particularly green, and particularly when you go into court, and some lawyers pick up on that a little bit. And
green, that means like new.
Green is new, inexperienced, whatever. And you get some that try and take advantage of that, let's say, and they'll try and, convince you your case is weaker than it might otherwise be. So you might have spent the weekend preparing a case, and I've got a good one. And the prosecutors will come and go, let's say you defend, prosecutor, you're actually running this. You're going to run that. That's a terrible. You can't believe you're going to run that. And you start doubting yourself, going, maybe it is a weak point. Oh no, maybe I need to. Don't. If you put the work in, you prepare for it, and you're confident, stick to your guns, and go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of times I had that, particularly in my younger days, and I'd follow through with the case, and you'd win it. You get your not guilty verdict. But it's very easy to have somebody try and knock your confidence, and particularly when someone's older, more experienced, and you think, if they're telling me I must be wrong, I must be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
No, trust your instinct, trust yourself, and stay confident.
Yeah, definitely. Next question. That was a good one.
I like that.
This is, I don't want to say a strange question. It's a good question.
Okay.
I don't know if we'll be able to give a complete answer to it. We'll only be able to give our opinion on it. So this was on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I won't read it word for word because it's quite a lengthy question. But essentially, this person completed the GDL and they got a 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
And then they worried that the GDL was going to run out. So I assume it's like the LPC, etc. It's got a shelf life.
Yeah.
So they went and did an LLB and they got a 2-1 on the LLB after they did the GDL.
Yeah.
So the question they're asking us is, when they're applying for scholarships, pupilages, etc., should they put on that GDL grade or just ignore it because they've got the LLB with the higher grade afterwards? So it's a tricky one, isn't it? And as I say, we'll completely caveat this by saying we don't know.
Yeah. We
don't know what's best, but I mean, just thinking it through logically and practically, the GDL is, I'm sorry that you spent the time doing it, but it's kind of irrelevant now.
Yeah, it's been superseded, hasn't it, by your law degree?
It was superseded by your law degree. So from that element, I'd say, what's the need to mention it? Because the worry obviously is it's going to reflect badly on them because they've got the lower grade. Unless there's reasons why that grade was lower than the LLB, which was then the 2-1, which is what most people ask for, isn't it? The 2-1 or above. If you can justify it, that was a 2-2 because of X, Y, and Z. As you can see, I then went on and did the LLB and got the 2-1. Then fine. I just don't know if you need to.
It's a hard one. I mean, once again, it's the caveat that neither of us are, CV and application specialists, as is indicated by how long it took us to get into this profession. But just for what it's worth, and quite frankly, you're paying nothing for this advice, so that's exactly what it's worth. But I would say, I agree with you, Hayley. Just throw the LLB degree on there.
Yeah.
Now,
unless there's a reason why that would leave a massive gap in your CV that's going to ask questions, then it looks like you've hid it.
Yeah, and once again, unless the question comes out in an interview, if the question comes out, why did you not do a GDL? Don't lie. Be frank. Say, well, I did do a GDL, and I did it back then, and unfortunately, I only got this grade, and the reason I got this grade was, as you said, explain it away. However, I wasn't happy with that grade, so I wanted to go back again, and I did a law degree, and I feel that the law degree better reflects my capabilities as a lawyer. This is me across the study of 3 years versus trying to cram everything into 9 months when I was new to the law. When I was given the opportunity and I could breathe and do all the exams properly. Yeah. When I say properly, I'm not talking down to the GDL at all, because the GDL is, it's equivalent to the same as so I'm not speaking badly of a GDL whatsoever. A lot of lawyers have GDLs. It's as good a qualification, so I'm not speaking badly of a GDL. But what you'd say in this situation is, when I was given more time, the study on an LLB suited me better, and here's what I can do when I have some time. Yeah. And now that shows, how well I can perform in my legal exams.
Yeah. So I think, to summarise, we would say, if it's not necessary, there's no real need to mention it, because you've got the LLB and the LLB supersedes the GDL.
Yeah.
If it's going to be obvious that, there's a gap in your CV, you can't explain what else you were doing there, it's going to look strange, you get asked about it, then honesty is always the best policy. And you've got that 2-1, which will help you with the 2-2. And, you know, more and more these days, applications are, you know, they're blind marking them. They're not looking at grades so much. And you are even hearing that people with 2-2s are, you know, qualifying and going on to have successful careers. So it's not always the be-all and end-all, but it's still very, very important.
Definitely. We wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, hope that was helpful. As we say, we're definitely not experts on that topic, so I would say, you know, recruiters, people at your university, if you still are at university, etc., will probably be able to give you a more in-depth answer than that. That's just our view and our opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got one last question.
Okay, fire away.
I'm starting my mooting journey as an aspiring barrister and current third-year law student. Do you have any tips?
Oh, okay. All right. So, good to hear that you're starting whilst you're still on the LLB. My advice, try and get as much experience in as possible, because when you come to apply for, you know, whatever it is, if you want to be barristers, solicitors, etc., and if you've got an interest in advocacy, which it sounds like you do, they will be asking about your experience. So the more you can talk about, the better, because it shows that you are very keen on advocacy, and you know, hopefully if you get some good results in competitions, you can boast about those.
Indeed.
So tips, as I say, the more you practice, the more experience you get, the better you'll become. It's like riding a bike or any other skill for that matter. So if your university has an internal mooting competition, take part in it. If your university has any other internal forms of advocacy competitions, etc., go for them. If your university takes part in external competitions, try and get in, try and find out who's the person I can speak to, how can I get on the team, etc. Sometimes it's a bit clicky, sometimes you can't get in. My university was that way. That's the reason I set up Speed Mooting, because I didn't fit the mould, didn't get in with the right click, so I thought, well, let's set a competition up that is non-judgmental and lets anyone take part.
Yep.
If you're looking for places to practice, we have a monthly advocacy club. It's low pressure, and we cover all forms of advocacy, from debating and public speaking through to mooting. We do mooting 3 or 4 times a year, and we do lots of practical legal advocacy, civil submissions, criminal submissions, trial advocacy, family advocacy, you name it, we do it.
Yep.
So there's lots of opportunities there. It's really low pressure, and you know, you're gonna meet a wide variety of people there, and you know, it's open to people at all levels of experience. So we've got absolute beginners through to, you know, national champions and things of that nature.
Yep.
And think outside the box, because, you know, mooting is good and it's a very specific style of advocacy. But I think just your general public speaking tips make you a better mooter anyway. So you know, speaking slowly, eye contact, voice variation, how you use gesticulation, etc. So look at any opportunity you have to do public speaking. So it could be in a tutorial. If there's a question, take the opportunity to answer that question and expand on your answer a bit. So it's a chance for you to speak for a little bit longer, rather than just, you know, it might be a question you can answer in 1 sentence. Speak for a few sentences, you know, really take the time to speak and, you know, present to the class a little bit. Any opportunities to do presentations in classes, tutorials, etc., take it. I'm in the Speakers Club. Look for your local Speakers Club. Good chance for you to practice public speaking more often. And if you think of any other opportunities where you can do public speaking, go for it.
Yep.
Because the more you do it, the better you become.
There we go. Hope that was helpful.
Yeah. So I think we probably need to finish shortly.
I think we do.
We need to hit the road soon. So it's been a shortened episode.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Although I say short and sweet, I think we're around about half an hour, aren't we? So
yeah, we were aiming for 20 minutes. So
yeah, we didn't hit that.
Will I get this edited before we have to hit the road? That's the question.
Fingers crossed. Hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. If you're interested in taking part in one of our competitions, there's a bail application competition. At the time I'm speaking now, which is Thursday afternoon, there are 9 places left. When this episode goes live on Friday, there might be some places left.
Maybe.
So if there are, check out the website. If you want to take part in the Advocacy Club, it's the first of the month, fresh month. We've got public speaking and mooting this month. Go on the website, join the Advocacy Club. And until next time, it's been a good episode. I've enjoyed recording it. If Have you enjoyed recording to Hayley?
Certainly have, John.
We need something for our listeners to comment. I think a fortnight ago we asked our listeners to comment OTC, which means Only Tribal Chief. Thanks to Coyote for his comment there. This week we need a comment, because if you're listening this far into the episode, you're one of our genuine, one of our hardcore listeners, aren't you? So
let's do Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. So if you're still listening this far into the episode, Hocus Pocus. See you next time.
Bye.